Hello folks, Alex here. This is Alex Unabridged, and today I've got my TBR and my hope to reads list for May. So welcome back to the channel if that's the case. May, how have we got to May already nearly? This year's just flying by. But yes, I've got my next list of things that I want to get through for the month of May. This will be one of two kind of TBR's possibilities lists that I've decided to split things up a little bit because I had my nice little list all prepared of the stuff I wanted to get through. And was thinking I'll keep it quite a light reading month in May because April's been mammoth with a couple of events and my own little projects and all that kind of stuff. And then Horror Mayhem was announced. So yes, thanks for that. Yeah, I saw videos from Criminoli and MJ Reading This Life and Michael K. Vaughan and various others all, saying, oh yeah, Horror Mayhem's going ahead for May. And I kind of cursed them slightly because I knew I couldn't resist getting involved with that. So I've got quite a large pile of possibilities for that. And so to avoid this video running super long, I've split them up. So this will just be my general TBR for the month, and there will be another one dropping at the same sort of time as this. So it will already be out. For Horror Mayhem. So if you want my Horror Mayhem stuff, then I will drop a link in the description to that video. So for now, let's get on with my May TBR. So first up, adventures in genre. For May, this will be magic realism. So I know I've read stuff that has magic realism elements to it, but I haven't really read anything off, kind of, if you Google magic realist books, you'll get kind of lists of books and stuff. I haven't read much off those kind of lists, things that are held up to be kind of great examples of the genre. So I thought I'd dive into some and see if I can sort of get a better handle on what makes something magic realist work. So first up, one that always comes up on one of the lists online, and that is Nights at the Circus by Angela Carter from 1984. I've had this for ages, sat on the bookshelf. My sister gave it to me probably over 5 years ago now. She loves it, she raves about it, and it's been sat on the shelf, and I keep kind of looking at it going, yeah, I really should read that. And I never have, so now is the time. I know it's held up as one of the classics of magic realism, and Angela Carter's a name that keeps kind of getting thrown at me as like, you need to read some of her stuff, and I haven't. So that is the first one on adventures in genre for this month. Then I've got an audiobook, which is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. From 2013. I've read some Neil Gaiman stuff, I've read some short stories, I've read quite a few of his comics, and I've enjoyed a lot of the adaptations of his work that I've seen on TV and in film and stuff. So I thought it's about time that I read some more of his work. And again, this is one that gets mentioned on all of those kind of magic realism lists. And it's read by Neil Gaiman as well, and he has a wonderful voice. And is a cracking narrator, so I'm sure I will very much enjoy listening to him tell his own stories. Those are the two adventures in genre texts that I am definitely going to read. I then also like to have a couple in reserve for if I kind of decide I want to read a bit more within that genre. So the first one that I've got is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Again, another one that pops up on every list. I hear mixed reports of this. I know some people absolutely love it and some people don't. But this was one that my mum passed on to me that she'd finished with. And so again, it's just sat on the bookshelf. And this seems like the perfect time to read it. And then finally, the other one that's in the might get to for Adventures in Genre is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke from 2020, which again I hear lots of really good reports of, and this was just a find in a charity bookshop the other day. So yes, it's one that I kind of want to get to because I realise there's a gap in my reading in terms of modern or contemporary female authors. I was looking back through my have read lists, and there's not many in there of women writers. So I need to close up that gap a bit. So this one had intrigued me when it came out. So I will try and get round to that if I possibly can this month. So that's my Adventures in Genre plans for the month. Then we're on to just other stuff. And the first one is a new release, which is, as I film this, not yet out. It is out on the 5th of May, I believe, is the audiobook. And this is The Ferryman by Justin Cronin. I am super excited for this. I don't often get really hyped about a book release. I do about film releases and game releases and stuff like that, but rarely about book releases. But if you've watched the channel a bit, you'll probably know that my favourite book of all time so far is The Passage by Justin Cronin. And I also love the other two in that trilogy, but they can't live up to the first one, to The Passage. It's just, for me, it's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Justin Cronin doesn't release things that regularly, so it's a treat to know that there's something new of his coming out. And if it's anything like The Passage in terms of its world building, it'll be spectacular. So far I've seen good reports from people who've had advanced reader copies. Generally, it seems to be getting sort of an average of sort of 4.5 stars on the rating on Goodreads from those. I'm trying to temper my kind of excitement a little bit because I don't want to get disappointed if it's not as good as I hope it will be. But it's really hard because I can't wait for this one. I really can't wait for this one. It's kind of mind-bending, sort of dystopian, sci-fi, fantasy, horror. I'd say go and read the description for it is very long, and so I won't read it out here. But do go check it out if you're interested to know more. It looks very, very intriguing. And right up my street. And as I say, in terms of world building and character work from Justin Cronin, from what I've read before, yeah, top notch. So fingers crossed that it's as good as I hope it will be. Next up is another reasonably new release from March, and certainly a new release in the UK. It only came out last week, and that's Monstrilio. This is horror. I haven't actually got my copy yet. I'm still waiting for it. I think there have been some stock issues here in the UK, so although I pre-ordered it, I still haven't got it. I'm still waiting. So yes, hopefully that will arrive soon. But I did talk about this a little bit more detail in my recent Big Birthday Book Bonanza haul video. So I will link to that section if you want to know a little bit more. Okay, what next? Another one that I've just recently bought with some birthday pennies, which I've had on my list for ages to buy, and now I've got it. I don't want to wait too much longer to read, and that is Uzumaki by Junji Ito, about a town that's contaminated with spirals and all the strange and terrible happenings there. So yeah, it's quite a chunker. But it's manga, so it shouldn't take me too long to get through. It'll depend on how many nightmares it gives me, and how many breaks I need to take from it because I get too scared. But yes, that is the next one that's up for May. And then I've got three that kind of tie into a theme. Essentially, it's National Walking Month in May, which I just found out the other day. It's a national month for everything now, isn't there? And so I thought, yeah, I'll read some walking books. You know, books about hiking, books about landscape, that kind of thing. Because I've recently come out of hibernation, shall we say, and the weather is picking up, and it's not all boggy and rainy and blowing a gale outside anymore. And so I'm feeling, you know, the itch to get back out and do some proper hiking and spend some time in the wilds again. So yes, I thought I would read some stuff that will inspire me to get back out there. And so the first one is one that I've had on the shelves for ages, again, and that is The Salt Path by Raina Wynn. I love that cover, that lino cut design on the cover. Beautiful work. I tried reading this one a while ago when I first got it, but because there's some quite sort of emotional, quite sad content to it as well. I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't in the right sort of mental space and emotional space to kind of properly read it, properly get the most out of it. So I put it down. It was a DNF for the time, and now it's time to go back to it. This is an autobiographical book about the author Raina Wynn and her husband Moth, and their impulsive decision to walk the 630-mile southwest coastal path, which starts in Somerset on the north coast, that little sticky out bit down the southwest, and goes all the way around the coast via Devon and Cornwall, and then finishes in Dorset on the south coast. And they did this after her husband Moth was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and then straight after that diagnosis they lost their home and their livelihood. And this is about them kind of walking the trail and discovering kind of things, liberation and things that help them get through the turmoil that they're going through in their general lives. So yeah, really interested to properly get through this. As I say, I just wasn't in the right space to read this at the time when I first started it. Whereas I think it's a good point now to read this. Plus, I've got more experience of doing kind of slightly longer distance trails myself, and so I think I'll be able to kind of appreciate it more, appreciate the journey more. Then we've got one that's connected to where I'm going on holiday in a couple of weeks. Well, in a week's time, virtually now. I'm going for 2 weeks to the Cairngorms. And so I thought I would finally get round to reading The Living Mountain by Nan Shepherd. A friend gave me this a few years ago, and it's sat on the shelf, and I keep looking at it thinking, I really ought to read that. And so when my wife and I decided to go to the Cairngorms this year, I thought I'm saving that and I'll read it whilst I'm up there, because I think I'll get so much more out of this whilst if I read it whilst I'm in that area in the national park. This is a landscape classic by all accounts. It's very short, so it should be a nice, easy one to get through. Hoping for some nice, sunny, reasonably warm weather, so I can potentially sit in the garden of the cottage and read this when I'm chilling out. But yeah, this will be great to read whilst I'm up there, and be able to kind of see the place that is being talked about in this. So yes, that is the second of the kind of the outdoorsy ones. And then finally, the last one, which is kind of landscape connected, is Ness by Robert Macfarlane and Stanley Donwood. And again, I mentioned this reasonably recently because this is a loan from my mum, and I need to read this to get it back to her. But yeah, this is kind of part poem, part prose, part novella. It has some wonderful, scratchy little illustrations in it all throughout. It's kind of folklore based, sort of landscape based. It just looks like a fantastic little book. And so yeah, again, it's a nice thin easy one to get through that I'll probably take away on holiday with me, sort of thing I like to read when I'm away on holiday, hiking and enjoying the outdoors and stuff. So that is the last one. So yes, so that is my my general TBR for the month of May. I will hopefully get through most of those. You know, I think probably the only ones that are only possibles are the two kind of additional magic realism ones, The Alchemist and Piranesi. But I do hope to get through all of the others. So I think that is it from me today. I'll be back soon with a little discussion type video on Sunday, and wrap-ups for the various events and stuff that I've done in April. I'll be splitting those up into separate videos to properly dedicate time to each of the events, because they've been brilliant and I have read quite a lot. But yes, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving us a like and subscribing for more content coming soon. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.